The metal mess kit shook in skeletal fingers. A German prisoner faced his first taste of American abundance. 3 brutal years in Africa had left him surviving on bread mixed with sawdust. Coffee brewed from acorns had been his morning ritual. Before him now sat scrambled eggs that steamed in the Alabama morning air. Bacon strips glistened with grease he hadn't seen in months. White bread appeared alongside real butter. Coffee with actual cream and sugar filled his cup. More nutrition than weeks of desert rations combined. His weight at capture had been 128 pounds. 2 years later, as an American prisoner, he would tip scales at 185. Fat had accumulated where bones once showed. His eyes nearly disappeared behind full cheeks. 57 pounds of documented gain that thousands would replicate across American soil. This transformation occurred while German soldiers on the Eastern Front gnawed frozen horse meat. Wehrmacht troops received starvation rations. These prisoners consumed the same generous portions as American garrison soldiers. Geneva Convention requirements demanded nothing less. 425,000 German prisoners experienced American prosperity firsthand. Their bodies became living proof of democratic abundance. Their worldview shifted as dramatically as their weight. Democracy fed even its enemies, while fascism starved its own. Rommel's desert forces had collapsed by May 1943. Medical examinations revealed biological catastrophe. Months of failed supply lines had created walking skeletons from once elite soldiers. The official Wehrmacht field ration promised substantial combat calories. Reality delivered fractions of promised nutrition. Hard bread arrived sporadically. Weevil-infested hardtack replaced it frequently. Morning ersatz coffee came from roasted acorns sweetened with artificial saccharin. Midday brought tiny portions of tinned meat. Horse or mule flesh extended with sawdust filler. Evening featured dehydrated vegetables that swelled stomachs, but provided minimal nourishment. Dr. James Patterson examined German POWs at Oren Processing Center during May 1943. His medical reports documented widespread nutritional collapse. Vitamin deficiency diseases appeared everywhere. Scurvy marked faces with telltale signs. Night blindness from vitamin A deficiency left soldiers stumbling in darkness. Protein deficiency caused dangerous edema throughout their systems. Recovery started immediately aboard Liberty ships bound for America. These vessels carried 30,000 POWs monthly across Atlantic waters. First meals at sea exceeded entire weeks of African rations. Beef stew with potatoes appeared on metal trays. White bread and butter accompanied every serving. Coffee with real milk flowed freely. Many prisoners vomited from sudden richness. Stomachs couldn't process fats after months of starvation. Their digestive systems required careful rehabilitation. Even American medical officers expressed shock at the dramatic contrast. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison Matthews observed prisoners boarding at Oren. These men resembled walking cadavers more than soldiers. Hollow cheeks dominated gaunt faces. Ribs protruded through thin uniforms. Many couldn't climb gangplanks without physical assistance. Careful feeding programs became medical necessity. Normal food would overwhelm damaged systems immediately. The 1929 Geneva Convention's Article 11 established clear requirements. Prisoner food rations must equal depot troops in quantity and quality. America exceeded mere compliance through strategic doctrine. Colonel Edward Davis explained the philosophy in September 1943 memoranda. Every well-fed German prisoner represented potential insurance for American captives in German hands. The Office of Provost Marshal General supervised this massive undertaking. Comprehensive administration documented every aspect of the program. Daily caloric intake received careful tracking. Weekly menu rotations ensured variety. Medical examinations monitored health improvements. Weight changes provided measurable proof of success. Bureaucratic requirements staggered in their scope. Monthly forms filed from each camp detailed everything. Swiss delegate inspections verified compliance. Red Cross monitoring added another layer. All systems ensured Geneva Convention adherence. Standard garrison rations guaranteed substantial daily portions for each prisoner. Meat appeared regularly on every plate. Bread came fresh from camp bakeries. Potatoes provided filling starches. Cheese and butter added essential fats. Milk flowed freely at every meal. Unlimited coffee replaced acorn substitutes. Fresh vegetables and fruits completed balanced nutrition. Estimated daily calories ranged from 3,000 to 4,000 per prisoner. Commissary purchases allowed additional supplements. German POWs bought cigarettes with earned script. Chocolate became available through camp stores. Beer and wine appeared on special occasions. Soft drinks and ice cream provided luxuries unknown in wartime Germany. Systematic feeding programs required massive logistical coordination. Camp quartermasters requisitioned food for thousands daily. Regional suppliers coordinated deliveries constantly. Refrigerated storage maintained freshness throughout the system. Kitchens operated continuously around the clock. The scale exceeded anything German military had attempted. America fed enemies better than Germany fed its own troops. Georg Gartner provided the most documented case study. A sergeant in Rommel's forces captured in Tunisia during 1943. He became famous as Hitler's last soldier in America. Escaping from Camp Deming, New Mexico, in September 1945, he lived under the alias Dennis Wiles for 40 years, surrendering finally in 1985 after decades of hiding. His memoir, co-written with historian Arnold Kramer, described widespread amazement among POWs. Treatment exceeded anything their own country could afford. Military chaplain Alex Funker, imprisoned at Camp Algona, Iowa, wrote extensively about the experience. We were positively impressed by the United States. All had been won over to friendly relations with America. Post-war research revealed widespread substantial weight gains among fellow prisoners. Many gained 40 to 60 pounds during captivity. Physical changes proved so dramatic that repatriation officers documented cases of prisoners becoming unrecognizable to their own families. Captain William Burke processed returning POWs in 1946. These men departed looking like professional athletes or successful businessmen rather than defeated soldiers. Families expected skeletal survivors. Instead, they encountered men who appeared prosperous and well-fed. Camp Concordia, Kansas housed approximately 4,000 Germans across hundreds of buildings on 640 acres. The campus established extensive educational programs with hundreds of available subjects. Regional universities provided partnership opportunities. Multiple kitchens fed thousands daily through sophisticated equipment. Modern electric ranges handled massive meal preparation. Walk-in refrigerators preserved food freshness. Industrial mixers managed large batches efficiently. Mechanical dishwashers processed thousands of items. Technology levels exceeded most prisoners' previous experience. Camp infrastructure represented American organizational capacity at its finest. Construction completed in just 90 days demonstrated remarkable efficiency. Electric lighting illuminated every building throughout the facility. Hot water systems provided modern conveniences. Flush toilets replaced primitive facilities. Central heating maintained comfortable temperatures year-round. Prisoners from rural Germany accustomed to outhouses and oil lamps found themselves living with amenities unknown in their homeland villages. Camp Hearn, Texas, earned the nickname Fritz Ritz from local residents. It held up to 5,000 prisoners who constructed elaborate recreational facilities. Industrial kitchens operated around the clock, serving continuous meals. Central bakeries produced thousands of loaves daily, fresh for every meal. Prisoners established regional mess halls serving different German cuisines. American ingredients recreated homeland dishes impossible in wartime Germany. Commanding Officer Colonel Donald Drake implemented calories for cooperation programs. Well-behaved prisoners received extra rations beyond standard allowances. Access to special meals rewarded good conduct. Commissary privileges provided additional incentives. Results included minimal discipline problems and maximum weight gains. Drake's reports documented average gains of 45 pounds per prisoner over 18-month periods. Camp Aliceville, Alabama, processed the Desert War's human wreckage with systematic efficiency. Commanders witnessing skeletal arrivals implemented graduated feeding protocols carefully designed for damaged digestive systems. Medical staff documented remarkable recovery patterns throughout the process. Vitamin deficiencies disappeared within months of proper nutrition. Dental problems received professional treatment. Energy levels restored dramatically. Gaunt faces filled out naturally. Chronic diseases vanished under proper care. Major Robert Harrison served as camp medical officer and published post-war studies documenting recovery patterns. His data revealed exponential weight gain during first 3 months of proper feeding. Steady increases averaging 2 to 3 pounds monthly continued thereafter. His most dramatic case recorded a prisoner arriving at 109 pounds. The same man departed at 181 pounds, a 72-pound gain documented with medical precision. Camp Papago Park, Arizona, housed naval personnel not required to perform labor duties. They spent days in leisure activities attending movies regularly. Reading occupied much of their time. Gardens provided peaceful occupation. The camp became famous for the December 1944 escape attempt of 25 U-boat officers. They tunneled out planning to float down Salt River to Mexico. They discovered the river ran completely dry. All were recaptured quickly. Several surrendered voluntarily when hunger struck. Even the desert offered less sustenance than camp kitchens. Public controversy erupted over the disparity between POW treatment and civilian rationing. German prisoners enjoyed full military rations, while American families navigated complex point systems and scarcity. Sugar, coffee, meat, and butter remained restricted for civilians. POWs received these items daily without any limitations whatsoever. Dorothy Mitchell of Topeka wrote to her congressman in 1944, expressing frustration. "My 3 sons fight in Europe, while German prisoners here eat steak twice weekly. I haven't seen steak since Pearl Harbor attacked our nation. My family's monthly meat ration equals less than these Nazis consume in 3 days. How do you explain this reality to a mother?" Government responses emphasized reciprocity as the primary justification. Treating German prisoners well theoretically protected American POWs in German hands. Propaganda posters proclaimed their good treatment ensures ours will be similar. Radio broadcasts stressed that 90,000 American prisoners depended on German compliance with Geneva standards. Public resentment simmered nonetheless, especially when prisoners worked local farms while eating better than the farmers employing them. Racial dimensions proved particularly inflammatory throughout the American South. Black American soldiers, including Rupert Trimmingham, noted bitter ironies. German prisoners could visit restaurants where uniformed black soldiers faced exclusion. Trimmingham's famous letter to Yank magazine described watching German POWs receive service in a Texas restaurant. He wore uniform with combat ribbons, yet was directed to kitchen doors for takeout orders only. This bitter irony created lasting wounds throughout American society. Enemy soldiers received better treatment than American citizens defending their country. German prisoners themselves often expressed discomfort, recognizing obvious injustices. Several camp newspapers run by prisoners published editorials questioning American segregation policies. The peculiar situation emerged of Nazi soldiers critiquing American racial policies while benefiting from American generosity. The POW labor program proved crucial to American agriculture while contributing significantly to prisoner weight gain. By 1944, over 300,000 POWs worked American fields, harvesting crops that fed both America and its allies worldwide. The program generated millions in revenue while providing prisoners supplemental nutrition beyond standard camp rations. Farmers desperate for workers competed to treat POW work crews exceptionally well. Morning meant farm breakfasts with eggs, bacon pancakes, and coffee. Noon brought hot meals delivered directly to fields. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables, and pie appeared regularly. Afternoon provided cold drinks and snacks for continued energy. Evening returned them to camps for another full meal. Combined intake often exceeded 5,000 calories daily. Nebraska's sugar beet fields employed thousands of POWs during harvest seasons. Prisoners witnessed mechanization that redefined their understanding of modern agriculture. Hans Dietrich, working near Scottsbluff, wrote detailed observations. One American farmer with machines accomplishes what required our entire village working by hand. Combine harvesters process more grain hourly than we managed weekly using traditional methods. Texas cotton operations employed thousands of POWs during crucial harvest seasons. Work proved grueling under blazing sun, but compensation included unlimited water supplies. Regular meal breaks provided relief and nutrition. Bonus food rewarded high producers consistently. Wilhelm Hartmann, picking cotton near Kaufman, gained 63 pounds in 14 months of labor. Texas farmers fed us like prize cattle, he observed. One rancher explained, "You can't get good work from hungry men." If only our officers had understood this basic principle of human motivation. California's Central Valley presented the ultimate irony of American abundance. POWs picked peaches, apricots, and oranges while eating freely during work. They watched perfectly good fruit bulldozed into pits when markets became oversupplied with produce. Kurt Vogel wrote extensively about this waste. Mountains of oranges destroyed while my family survives on turnips in Germany. I begged permission to send fruit to starving relatives. The farmer explained it was economically impossible due to shipping costs and regulations. This waste amid plenty broke something fundamental in my understanding of the world's economics. Military medical officers tracked biological changes with scientific precision throughout the program. Major Thomas Richardson served as Chief Medical Officer for the 8th Service Command. He compiled statistics from 50,000 examinations conducted between 1943 and 1946. His data revealed patterns that would influence post-war nutrition science significantly. Recovery trajectories followed predictable phases that medical staff learned to anticipate. First month involved digestive system adjustment with minimal weight gain. Bodies learned to process fats and proteins again after months of malnutrition. Second month brought rapid gain as systems normalized, averaging 8 to 10 pounds of healthy weight increase. Months 3 through 6 showed steady increases of 3 to 4 pounds monthly. After 6 months, gains slowed but continued steadily. Most prisoners added 40 to 60 pounds total during their captivity. Health improvements paralleled weight increases in measurable ways. Vitamin deficiencies disappeared within 90 days of proper nutrition. Scurvy cases recovered completely with adequate vitamin C. Night blindness resolved with proper vitamin A intake. Dental health improved dramatically after comprehensive treatment programs. Over 400,000 dental procedures were performed on German POWs, from simple extractions to complex bridgework construction. Many prisoners received better dental care than they'd experienced in their entire lives previously. German physicians working in camp hospitals documented unexpected medical problems. Conditions of plenty rather than poverty began appearing. Dr. Friedrich Hoffmann at Camp Buttner noted unusual developments. We observed diabetes emerging in men who survived on 1,000 calories daily. High blood pressure appears in soldiers who had dangerously low pressure from malnutrition. Gout develops from rich foods after years of deprivation. These represent diseases of prosperity, appearing in former prisoners of starvation. Psychological impact paralleled physical changes throughout the prisoner population. Camp psychiatrists reported widespread guilt about gaining weight while families starved in Germany. Captain James Murray documented prosperity trauma as a new psychological condition. Mental distress of improving health amid homeland suffering created unique emotional conflicts. Prisoners expressed shame at their improved appearance before cameras. Anxiety about explaining their condition to starving families consumed their thoughts. Guilt about enjoying meals while Germany collapsed affected their mental health. The psychological burden of survival and prosperity proved as challenging as previous malnutrition. Christmas 1944 presented the starkest contrast between American plenty and German poverty. The Battle of the Bulge raged while German civilians received turnip rations if fortunate. American camps served holiday feasts exceeding anything prisoners had experienced even before war began. Camp menus from December 24–25, 1944, preserved in military archives, document extraordinary meals that defied wartime expectations. Roast turkey averaging 1.5 pounds per man appeared on every table. Glazed ham with pineapple provided additional protein sources. Mashed potatoes with butter and cream accompanied main dishes. Sweet potato casserole added traditional American flavors. Green bean casserole provided vegetables in appealing forms. Cranberry sauce completed traditional combinations. Fresh baked rolls emerged from camp bakeries hourly. Multiple varieties of pie satisfied every preference. Ice cream provided cold desserts. Eggnog served to officers added festive spirits. Unlimited coffee and cocoa warmed winter appetites. Churches and civic organizations contributed beyond official military rations generously. Methodist women of Hearne, Texas, delivered 2,000 homemade cookies to Camp Hearne personally. Concordia's Lutheran congregation provided hand-knitted scarves for every single prisoner. Even communities struggling with rationing shared their precious allocations with enemy prisoners. This expression of American generosity left prisoners completely incomprehensible about their situation. Feldwebel Richard Steinberg described the emotional scene that Christmas created. We sat before this feast, knowing our families had nothing edible. Men wept openly not from joy, but from the crushing weight of contrast. How could we celebrate while Germany starved systematically? How could we refuse this kindness from technical enemies? We ate in complete silence. Each bite represented betrayal and blessing, combined in impossible contradiction. Despite extraordinary treatment, escape attempts remained remarkably minimal. Just 2,222 attempts from 425,000 prisoners. Virtually no permanent successes occurred except Georg Gartner's 40-year disappearance. This 0.5% attempt rate represented the lowest of any major POW population in modern warfare history. The reason proved simple to understand. Camps offered better conditions than freedom possibly could. The Great Papago escape illustrated the complete futility of escape attempts perfectly. 25 U-boat officers spent months digging a 178-foot tunnel using stolen spoons. Hiding excavated dirt in the volleyball court, they'd convinced guards to let them construct. Their plan to float down Salt River to Mexico failed immediately upon execution. The river ran completely dry year-round. Within 3 weeks, all were recaptured easily. Most surrendered voluntarily when hunger became unbearable. Even desert survival offered less sustenance than camp kitchens provided daily. Captain Jürgen Wattenberg served as the escape leader and reflected decades later on their foolishness. We were complete ideological idiots driven by Nazi programming. Inside camp, we enjoyed food, shelter, safety, and even entertainment regularly. Outside meant desert hostility and certain recapture within days. We risked everything to escape from paradise into hell. It made no logical sense whatsoever, only ideological sense. Ideology doesn't fill empty stomachs or provide shelter from elements. Most prisoners recognized reality clearly, unlike the escape planners. Where could they possibly go in America? How would they survive without resources? Speaking limited English with obvious German accents made them immediately identifiable. Lacking proper documents or money in a vast country where every citizen remained alert for German escapees. Practical obstacles proved completely insurmountable for realistic planning. More importantly, remaining in camp guaranteed survival until war's end. Escaping meant returning to combat if somehow successful. Starvation awaited if recapture occurred first. The choice seemed obvious to rational minds. POWs working near factories witnessed production that completely shattered their understanding of industrial capacity. At Campbell's soup facilities, they watched single production lines process more food hourly than entire German factories managed daily during peak operations. Near Detroit's Willow Run plant, they observed B-24 bombers rolling off assembly lines every 63 minutes. Faster production than Germany could manage for simple training aircraft construction. Psychological impact proved devastating to German confidence in victory. Otto Kleist, an engineer from Krupp, worked near a steel mill producing 10,000 tons daily without strain. We finally understood the fundamental truth. This wasn't a war between armies, but between completely different industrial systems. They could lose 10 tanks for every one they destroyed and still achieve victory. Mathematics made our defeat absolutely inevitable, regardless of individual courage or superior strategy. Agricultural productivity proved equally stunning to prisoners from Germany's struggling farms. American farms yielded twice German rates per acre, while using only a quarter of the required labor force. Mechanization allowed single farmers to cultivate areas requiring dozens of workers in Germany's traditional system. Irrigation, fertilization, and hybrid seeds created harvests that seemed miraculous to prisoners from subsistence farming backgrounds. Waste particularly affected prisoners who'd experienced genuine scarcity for years. Mountains of potatoes left to rot because of temporary oversupply situations. Grain burned deliberately to maintain stable market prices. Milk poured into sewers when local demand dropped unexpectedly. Franz Mueller wrote extensively about this abundance. They destroy perfectly good food to stabilize markets, while Europe starves systematically. Only a nation of unlimited resources could afford such deliberate waste. We finally understood true American power, not in their armies, but in their capacity for excess production. Between 1945 and 1946, ships carried over 370,000 German POWs back to devastated Europe. They departed America, having gained collectively millions of pounds. Living monuments to American prosperity returning to ruins and starvation. The contrast proved tragic on multiple levels that affected everyone involved. Returning prisoners faced devastated cities where families barely survived. Their healthy appearance marked them as different, privileged, and somehow complicit with former enemies. Families couldn't understand how they'd gained substantial weight in captivity while Germany starved systematically. Communities resented their apparent prosperity amid universal poverty and destruction. Physical reversal proved swift and brutally effective in erasing American gains. Military government surveys tracked former POWs losing 30 to 50 pounds within 6 months of returning to Germany. Bodies built on American rations couldn't survive on German scarcity conditions. 1,500 calories daily, if extremely fortunate, often much less than that minimum. American weight disappeared rapidly, leaving men who looked older than when originally captured. Despite years of captivity, comfort, their bodies showed the strain. Heinrich Weber returned to Hamburg weighing 186 pounds, up from 134 at capture. 6 months later, he weighed 138 pounds, barely above his original capture weight. The American body couldn't survive on German rations, he explained sadly. I gave my food portions to my children. Lived on potato peels and stolen grain when possible. Better to have known hunger continuously than to know fullness and lose it completely. Beyond physical nourishment, camps provided comprehensive education that would reshape post-war Germany fundamentally. Over 50,000 prisoners enrolled in courses ranging from practical agriculture to abstract philosophy. Camp Concordia alone offered 300 different subjects. Professors from nearby universities taught everything from American history to automotive repair techniques. Curriculum deliberately included democratic governance principles. Free market economics received extensive coverage. Constitutional law provided legal framework understanding. Subjects completely banned in Nazi Germany became available for serious study. Prisoners examined the Federalist Papers carefully. Adam Smith's economic theories received thorough analysis. John Stuart Mill's philosophy sparked intense debates. They studied governance models, economic systems, and social contract theory. Intellectual feeding paralleled physical nourishment perfectly. Expanding minds while building stronger bodies through proper nutrition. Democratic concepts took root alongside weight gain in measurable ways. Camp newspapers evolved from crude propaganda organs to sophisticated democratic forums. Der Ruf, meaning the call, circulated to 25,000 prisoners monthly. Published debates about Germany's future appeared regularly. Democracy's strengths received honest examination. Economic reconstruction planning filled many pages. Evolution from Nazi mouthpiece to democratic voice traced the ideological journey of its readers clearly. Dr. Wilhelm von Braun taught physics at Camp Shelby while imprisoned and noted remarkable improvements. We enjoyed better facilities than most German universities could provide. Laboratory equipment exceeded German standards significantly. Textbooks remained current and comprehensive. Academic freedom flourished without political interference. Jewish professors who'd fled Germany taught alongside us, without hatred or revenge. This generosity of knowledge-sharing education with former enemies revealed American confidence in their superior system. The Special Projects Division's secret re-education program achieved remarkable success through demonstration rather than heavy-handed indoctrination. By 1945, 25,000 prisoners had voluntarily enrolled in democracy courses. They studied documents banned completely in Germany, discussed concepts punishable by death under Nazi rule previously. The program succeeded because it relied on observable evidence rather than simple propaganda. Prisoners witnessed democracy functioning effectively in daily operations. They experienced genuine free speech through camp newspapers, observed racial problems discussed openly in American media. Self-criticism remained impossible in totalitarian systems they'd known. Every pound gained provided proof that democracy produced measurable prosperity for everyone. Former Wehrmacht officers who'd sworn personal oaths to Hitler found themselves planning democratic reconstruction for Germany. Colonel Hans von Luck, veteran of Poland, France, and Africa, wrote extensively about his transformation. We arrived as convinced, dedicated Nazis. We departed as reluctant Democrats. Not through brainwashing techniques, but through careful observation. Their system actually worked effectively. Ours had failed completely. The evidence appeared in our expanded waistlines daily. Approximately 5,000 former POWs eventually emigrated to America permanently, becoming citizens of the nation that had imprisoned them during wartime. Thousands more maintained regular correspondence with American families for decades afterward. These relationships, born in extraordinary circumstances, created unexpected bridges between former enemies that lasted lifetimes. Emigration processes weren't simple for former German soldiers. They faced suspicion in Germany as potential American sympathizers. Suspicion in America as former enemies remained equally challenging. Yet many persevered, drawn by powerful memories of prosperity and democratic possibility they'd experienced. They settled across America, successfully integrating into American society. Hans Werker became a respected physician in Maine after completing American medical training. Georg Gartner hid successfully in plain sight for 40 years before revealing his true identity. Marriage created the strongest bonds between former enemies and American citizens. Despite strict regulations forbidding fraternization, romances developed through correspondence and work programs. Over 1,000 German POWs eventually married American women they'd met during or shortly after captivity. These families embodied reconciliation perfectly. Former enemies united through love rather than military conquest. The 1985 reunion in Austin drew 500 former prisoners returning with American-born children and grandchildren. Hans Werker delivered the keynote address to enthusiastic applause. We came as enemies and left as friends, arrived starving and departed overweight significantly. Every pound gained represented a lesson in democracy's superior productivity. Every meal demonstrated freedom's abundant fruits clearly. POW program economics defied conventional warfare logic completely. Costing hundreds of millions of dollars, it generated nearly equivalent value through agricultural and industrial labor, essentially self-funding while achieving immeasurable strategic benefits for America. Each well-fed prisoner became inadvertent testimony to American industrial strength. Their expanded bodies provided proof of American productive capacity. Multiple objectives were achieved simultaneously through this comprehensive program. It protected American POWs through reciprocity arrangements. Germany treated American prisoners better than Soviet prisoners, partly due to American treatment of Germans. It alleviated critical labor shortages, with POWs harvesting crops that fed both America and its allies worldwide. Most importantly, it transformed enemies into potential allies through demonstration of prosperity rather than force. Post-war analysis revealed the program's influence on German reconstruction efforts. Former POWs implemented American agricultural methods successfully. German yields increased 30% within 5 years of war's end. They introduced American management techniques helping drive the Wirtschaftswunder economic miracle. Their experience shaped an entire generation of German leaders oriented toward American partnership rather than Soviet influence. Colonel James Patterson's 1947 analysis concluded prophetically. We purchased future peace with present food generosity. The collective weight gain millions of pounds represented American agricultural surplus converted into valuable political capital. Capital that paid substantial dividends throughout the Cold War period. German POWs who gained 50-plus pounds in American camps embodied World War II's deepest irony perfectly. While their homeland starved systematically, they thrived completely. While their families queued desperately for turnips, they chose between multiple dishes. While their comrades died on the Eastern Front, they attended movies and played soccer regularly. This impossible reality of enemies eating better than allies proved strategically brilliant for America. Their physical growth testified to profound truth about democratic systems. America could afford generosity even during total war. Democracy could feed even its sworn enemies effectively. Freedom produced plenty, while tyranny produced only poverty. The 57-pound gain documented by one prisoner was replicated thousands of times across American camps. Each pound provided evidence of American agricultural and industrial supremacy. In final analysis, America's greatest weapon wasn't its armies or arsenals, but its dinner tables loaded with abundance, tables large enough to feed enemies generously, generous enough to transform warriors into witnesses, abundant enough to purchase lasting peace through temporary plenty. German POWs discovered their true enemy wasn't America, but the ideology that had led them to war against such prosperity. Every pound gained represented a pound of Nazi ideology permanently lost. Every meal provided lessons in democratic productivity. Every full belly offered testimony to freedom's capacity to create rather than destroy. They returned to Germany heavier in body but enlightened in spirit, carrying within their transformed flesh the seeds of reconciliation, memory of impossible generosity from a nation powerful enough to feed even those who came to destroy it.